And then they did do it again in reverse. When Amy Coney Barrett was put on the court, it was the exact same thing. It was even closer to an election.
It was literally like 3 weeks, a month before the election.
Well, we didn't have divided government then. We had unified government.
That's what I'm saying. It's situational for you.
Right, exactly.
No,
it's just
a different situation.
But
why?
Oh, this is getting good. This is getting good. They're really going at Scott Jennings.
All right, welcome to Overtime. He hosts Snapchat's Good Luck America, Peter Hamby, and he's an author and CNN senior political contributor, Scott Jennings. And the first question is for you, Scott. As someone who's considering a Senate run to replace him, what? You're not? Usually when someone puts out a book, it means they're going to run for office. Not always, but that always is.
Isn't writing a book the fastest way to get rich in America right now?
No.
You said it was OnlyFans.
No, you don't get rich writing books. I hate to tell you, bro.
Too late.
Anyway, what do you believe will be Mitch McConnell's legacy? I guess that's who you'd be replacing, right?
Yeah.
When you run for Senate, if you run for Senate.
So if you guys don't know who this is Scott Jennings. He's actually pretty conservative. However, he works for CNN. He primarily specializes on Late Night with Abby Phillips, where he debates certain Democrat pundits about Trump things or Republican things or even Biden's old things. Just whatever's trending in the news. And right now he's on Bill Maher, and they're going to talk about his run in the Senate. And also, they might get into a debate later. So let's not waste any more time and get right into it.
Yeah, he's up in 26. Supreme Court, I mean, without question. I mean, he had a long career, 42 years, won 7 elections in Kentucky. But without question, I think his legacy is the court, specifically the Supreme Court. If he doesn't hold that seat open in the 2016 election, I'm not sure President Trump would have won, and then the cascade of appointments that followed will change the course of this country for generations.
And if people don't remember what you're talking about, in 2015 Scalia died, was that it? It was, or was it 16? I think
15, yeah.
15, okay. So Obama still had over a year in office. Mm-hmm. And usually when a president is in office, he gets to choose who the Supreme Court nominee. He wanted Merrick Garland, and Mitch McConnell would not even give him a hearing. That was unprecedented. What is the latest bullshit argument why that's okay?
Well, if the bullshit you're referring to is the advise and consent clause in the U.S. Constitution,
no.
That's the argument.
At the time, the argument was it's too close to an election. It was 2015.
Well, that wasn't the full argument. The full argument was we had divided government, and then the American people were going to make a decision, and they did, and they chose a Republican president.
Well, as I just said in the editorial, if it had been the other way around, you would have went apeshit about it. If somebody had tried, no, you'd have been cool with it.
Well, I lived through the Bush years when the Democrats in the Senate did everything they could possibly do to obstruct George W. Bush from putting judges on the court. So it's not the first time I lived through it.
This is Supreme Court. And did Bush get a pick on the Supreme Court?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And they gave him a hearing, and then they voted on it. They could have voted him not. We've seen that. Nixon suggested 2 people who they didn't put on the court. You can do that. But you get to actually have a hearing. This was completely unprecedented and unconstitutional and illegal. And by the way, your hero, Mitch McConnell, when they asked him if he would do it again, he said, sure. And then they did do it again in reverse. When Amy Coney Barrett was put on the court, it was the exact same thing. It was even closer to an election.
It was literally like 3 weeks, a month before the election.
But we didn't have divided government then. We had unified government.
That's what I'm saying. It's situational for you.
Right, exactly.
It's just a different situation.
I know. But
why? Oh, this is getting good. This is getting good. They're really going at Scott Jennings. They're really going at him. I wonder how he's going to respond, though, but they came ready. They didn't even ask him no personal questions. They tried to fake it, ask him about his book, but they didn't really care. They just got straight into the fire.
Why are you guys against the exercising of political power?
That's the exercise of political power is fine. This is unconstitutional. That's what we're against. We're against going outside the law. They wrote it down. It's very clear. Same thing as some of the things Trump is saying now about a 3rd term. It's very clear. It's in the Constitution. Aren't you the guys who carry the little pocket Constitution in your thing?
Yeah.
Don't you have one under your pocket square there?
Yeah, and in it.
And it says, 2 terms. It says a president gets to pick who is the guy they're going to put up to the Supreme Court.
And it says the Senate has to confirm them, and it says the Senate gets to advise and consent on this, and that's up to the Senate on how they do that. It's a co-equal branch of government.
Oh, so that is the latest bullshit argument. All right, that was my question. All right, I knew there was one. Okay. What did you make of Donald Trump's post this morning alleging that since I said I hate Taylor Swift, this guy, all the deals, but he still has time for this. You gotta love it. Since I said I hate, she's no longer hot. Or I don't think he means physically hot. I think he means hot in the business. I think she just finished the biggest tour.
Are you sure he doesn't mean physically hot?
I don't. I do not mean
I assume he's criticizing her looks. That was my first reaction.
No,
Oh, no longer.
I don't think he means that. I recall when he went to the Super Bowl earlier this year, he noted at the time that the crowd booed her and cheered him. I think at that point he started to detect that she was faltering with the public. And I will say this.
Actually, Scott has a point here. I mean, first of all, she made over $1 billion. She's $1 billion on that tour.
Biggest tour ever.
Yeah, like biggest tour ever in history. When she endorsed Kamala Harris right before the election, and it was a very sort of, I think it was like an Instagram post or something. Her approval ratings, like people polled this stuff. Her approval ratings went up with Democrats, but with Republicans and independents, they actually went down strikingly. Like people don't like celebrities and politicians getting involved in elections.
They really don't. I think it actually hurts.
Yeah,
I agree.
But that was after her tour, like in the middle. She's fine. She'll be fine. But I don't think
she's
not
fine.
hot.
Right.
In
She's not unpopular.
Hot.
She's not as hot in the industry now because she just finished a giant tour. So she needs time to, relax and be with that football player.
Who does he?
And by the way,
so if you guys don't know what they're referring to Donald Trump's tweet regarding Taylor Swift. And I actually did see that tweet. Initially, I'm not gonna lie, I did think he was talking about her looks, but I never looked too deep inside of it. I think talking about a tweet like that in general is just for entertainment. And Donald Trump, to me, yes, he can be entertaining, but to me, he's a politician. So when he tweets about politics, I will pay attention to it. But when it's about a music artist, I'm like, I don't care. I'm not gonna lie, I just don't care. But let me know what you guys think about it.
when she got booed, they weren't booing her in general. What they were booing was, we don't like you so much in football. Let us just have football. Let us have one thing without Taylor Swift involved. That's what that was about.
I support that.
Kash Patel says he's shutting down the FBI's D.C. headquarters and moving staff across the country. Should other government agencies be doing the same? That's an interesting proposition. I'm not against that from the get for any reason. I mean, everything probably is too concentrated in Washington. It's a little too incestuous, right?
I have a take on this about the media. I think news organizations should incorporate more bureaus outside of New York, LA, and Washington.
Oh, totally.
And Cincinnati and wherever, because the bias in media I'm sure you would agree, can be liberal, but it's like less political to me than it is cultural and class-based. I just hire more reporters in Des Moines, hire fewer reporters in DC.
The reason why places are all centralized in one place, such as the FBI, CIA, the White House, is because of an event of a national emergency. Just imagine if the FBI what if the FBI was in Texas and the White House was in DC and we had an attack or an invasion? I think they're in different time zones. People are going to be at work at different times. They won't be the same. They won't be as congruent as they are if they're in the same place. They won't be able to give physical information as they were now if they were in different places. So that's why everything is centralized in Washington, D.C. or near the area, so that if there were something to happen, you're able to convey information as fast and as efficiently as possible. You're on the same time zone. Everyone's at work at the same time. You can 100% confirm within hours, minutes probably, if they've gotten this physical copy of information. Rather, if the FBI and the White House or the FBI and the CIA were in different places. But there are also different perspectives of it. There could be bias, such as media bias. I do think there should be more mainstream news outlets in different places. I don't think that would make a difference. I don't think all news outlets such as Fox and CNN and MSNBC and every place, whatever else is there, I don't think all of them should be in DC or in that area. It doesn't make sense to me. Or in New York, it doesn't make sense to me. They could be spread out throughout the country just to avoid bias. But the actual stations, they need to be, in my opinion, they need to be closer than far away. America's a pretty big place. America's pretty big. Unless all places will just be working on a 24-hour schedule with private jets who can fly across the land and give information. You could do that. But let me know what you guys think. And also, I'm going to end this video here. Let me know what you think about this interview. I thought it was pretty good. Nonetheless, my name is LFR Jojo, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.